Hello, this is Asha. Welcome to the Law of Asha podcast. It has been a sweet little minute since I've done a podcast episode, and there's so much going on in my world and in my being. And so I ask for your grace as I get back into the swing of doing a podcast. This podcast is brought to you by, of course, Law of Asha, bringing you powerful, intuitive, leading edge law of attraction, life coaching, business, all aspects of life, content, courses, masterminds, all of that jazz. Um, this upcoming May, I am doing another 8-week mastermind. It has been about a year since I've done the last one, and it is time to do it again. And this mastermind, I'm not going to be really going over much of the basics because I've spent a lot of time in my YouTube channel and in prior masterminds going over the basics. There's a plethora of information out there. Um, but I'm really going to be diving into a lot of the more advanced research that I've been doing and experimentation I've been doing on myself, and a lot of the portals I've been going through in regards to physical health, mental health, manifestation, and a lot more. So if you're interested, you can learn more and sign up at lawofasha.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Oya Visions Jewelry. Oya Visions Jewelry is all handcrafted, all intuitively designed, all energy and Reiki infused by yours truly. Every single piece is unique and one of a kind. Every single piece has a particular healing energy that's going to either help you release something, call in something, and most importantly, align to your inner being. So you can see all of the amazing pieces that I have available at oyavisions.com. Now, I have a few things I'm going to be chatting to you about today in this episode. Got my journal right here, and I just want to start. Where do I want to start with this? um, I am completing an identity shift, and it's one that's really sort of it's been in progress. I would say this shift started, what's 2023 now? Last year's 2022. I'd say it's been in progress for probably the last year and a half. And I'm and part of this identity shift is also learning. It feels like I'm relearning how to talk. It feels like I'm a baby and I'm trying to figure out how to use words again. Because a lot of things that I'm experiencing and feeling, I there aren't great words with which to talk about this. And so I'm very much feeling like I'm re-navigating language. So bear with me. Um, but let me start off with the easiest thing to talk about, and that's astrology and human design. So these are two things I've been into for a long time. And in Western astrology, I'm an Aquarius sun, Aquarius moon, Scorpio rising. And I always felt like as an Aquarius, that I had to live up to it. Like it felt like, oh, like that's really cool. But it never felt entirely like, oh, that's me. And what I did read about it, it felt like more of the negative aspects of myself, more of the limiting aspects of myself when I would read and do my research on Aquarius energy. And yeah, it just never fully resonated. And I think that's why I kept searching and kept looking and kept wanting to learn more about astrology is because I was looking for something that resonated more because it just didn't. And I think that's why I was interested in human design. It's because I was like, oh, maybe this will give me the insight, the resonance, the reflection that's more true to me than Western astrology. And I started my human design journey um probably like summer 2020. No, no, more like fall 2020. And it was really exciting learning this whole new system. I really enjoy systems. I really enjoy like all the complex layers. I enjoy that it's almost like sort of like a puzzle and putting these various pieces and parts together that allows you to see more, like gain insight into how you work and how others work and how you guys work together in a way that I felt like astrology didn't quite. I felt like human design lent itself better to that than I feel like astrology does. And I started my experiment in human design. I was a 2-4 emotional projector. And by the end of the year, following that strategy, I was isolated. I, my, at the time I was starting a jewelry business. I was starting to make jewelry. I was beginning to get into coaching. And I was like, I just got my Reiki certifications 1 and 2, and things were like gaining positive momentum. By the end of the year, all of that had come to a halt. I was struggling financially, and I was, it's just really hard to say. It just takes me back to that time, but like I was more depressed than like I've ever been. And it was because I felt like I had all these tools. Um, I was a part of it for service community. I joined that spring, and my connection with that community had started to dwindle as well. And I felt like I had done all the things that I knew to do. I had done plant medicine ceremonies. I had all these tools at my disposal to support me in dealing with and managing. And at the time, I was even I was hopeful that may even cure like my depression and anxiety. And yet I had found myself back in this deep, dark hole and like could barely get myself out of bed. And I was just, yeah, it was just one of my lowest times. And I began to really um resent human design because it just felt so wrong for me to wait to be invited. Like the fuck? Like I don't wait for anyone to do anything. It's never been who I am. And there, of course, like there's the feminine part of me that like loves being served, loves being invited, loves being catered to, loves being, offered things. And that's all great. And I still very much love that and enjoy that. And that still happens for me. But but that is not my primary mode of um, moving forward in life. And to take that approach, it was the total opposite of what I, of the way I've been, the way I felt I don't even say that. It's like the total opposite of like of how I go about things. And but I gave it my due diligence. I'm like, it's an experiment. I'm gonna give it a go. And I crashed and burned. And my dear friend Jason, God bless him, he kept sending me all of these law of attraction videos. And I was lying to him, saying that I was watching them and I wasn't. And one day he called me out on it. He's like, "Hey, did you watch this video?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, what was it about?" And I was like, I was like, "Okay, I didn't watch it." And he was like, "Watch it right now." And so we got off the phone, I watched it, and I remember, I believe it was an Abraham Hicks video. And watching that video, so many things clicked into place. And I felt like that mind blown emoji. Like I so felt like that. And I felt free. I felt hope. I felt inspired. I felt like I could feel a way out of this hole I gotten in. And if everything just at once made sense. I just in the matter of what 10, 15 minutes, I completely understood why I ended up in the spot I was in now and how to get out of it and what I needed to do going forward to ensure it didn't happen again. And so I set off on that. And what was really, really impactful and powerful about this for me was that the law of attraction gave me permission to follow my positive impulses, to understand that when I have an idea, when I have a vision, it's because in some reality, it already exists. And all I have to do is follow that feeling, follow that vibrational thread to that reality. That was one of the most impactful things. That and what I think about, what I focus on is amplified. And so I understood that I have a really active mind. My mind is like, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm always thinking about shit all the time. And my mind just, it feels like I have a supercomputer in my brain. Like I'm always thinking about things. And sometimes my mind gets in these patterns and these grooves, it'll cling on to something and it'll just get obsessive about it. And it's great when it's something that's good for me, but it's not so great when it's something that's like negative or limiting. And I understood that if I could just, when I noticed my mind going to like this negative space, if I just interrupted it and just for like a few minutes thought about something else, focused on something else, then I, that momentum of that negative thought, of that negative reality would decrease a little bit. Maybe it would all go away right away, but the momentum would decrease a little bit. And each time I did that, it would get less and less. And the momentum of positive thoughts would get more and more. And I started to experience that. And honestly, the year that I discovered the law of attraction was probably one of the most ecstatic, happiest years of my life because I was just honest. Everything felt new and I felt like I was living life again for the first time. And it just felt ecstatic. I just felt so much bliss that year and so much happiness after having felt so much depression and disappointment and failure and self-hatred and self-loathing. To have that totally flip to the other side was just, whew, you felt good. And so let's fast forward maybe probably like mid 2021. I'd heard about cosmic human design, which was based on Vedic astrology. And I started looking into Vedic astrology, which is the original astrology and from which Western astrology came from. And looking at that, it was interesting. I was like, oh, it says I'm a manifester. Like, I'm a splenic manifester. Like, of course I'm a manifester, right? Like, I manifest shit all the time. Like, of course it felt right. But I didn't really put much energy or much thought or much research into it. I sort of just, I had a lot of things, other things I was focused on. I was really into the law of attraction. And I also sort of had a suspicion that, well, if I don't focus on astrology, if I don't focus on human design, then it can't condition me because it in and of itself, it is a form of conditioning. And so I began to actively try to decondition myself from astrology and human design. Incredibly difficult, especially when a lot of the spirituality, consciousness, metaphysical community is extremely interested in these two systems and talking about them all of the time. So that was incredibly difficult to try to do. I would say I was maybe 80% successful, but it just kept coming up and then it kept coming up more and more frequently. And people came to me asking me to share insights with them, to give them readings, and I wasn't doing it. And I was still trying to decondition it. And then finally it hit me, I was like, okay, this is here for a reason. I'm gonna stop pushing against it, right? Because you can't push against something and make it go away. It just gets bigger. So I began to open myself back up to human design and astrology again, to engage with it in a way that felt in alignment. And um, I really started doing that again, man, this year, really, this year. And now looking at my astrology, looking at my human design through the Vedic lens, through the true sidereal lens, it's hitting me in a way that it didn't the first time I looked at it. Um, it just makes so much sense, and it really, it's empowering. It's empowering, and I've, watched some videos of other folks' perspectives on um, cosmic human design and true sidereal astrology, and the sentiments are similar. My birthday was this past weekend, and I did like almost all of my friends' charts. We looked up their true sidereal human design as well as their astrology, and it was so cool to see how much it resonated with them, and how much it opened up and illuminated a more divine aspect of them that the tropical astrology didn't. And um as it relates to like let's get a little nerdy. So I'm gonna get nerdy. So Vedic astrology, she said your astrology, it reflects how the constellations and the stars and the planets are actually placed in the sky. And as those constellations change over time, the placements, everything changes over time. It's not static as it changes over time. Their calculations also change to reflect that. So with Western astrology, the chart that they're going off, the placements are going off of, are about 2,000 years old. And before that, they didn't obviously go off of that like 3,000 years ago because the placements weren't the same. But around 2,000 years ago, they decided on that fixed placement. I'm forgetting the reason why, and they haven't changed it since. And so now with if we just make it very plain and simple, if you were to look in the sky, right, and see where the constellations are, what planets are, what constellations, if you were to use one of those cool sky scanner apps that shows you where the constellations and planets are on your phone in real time, you will see that um, according to Vedic astrology has it right. Their calculations and charts match up with that, but Western astrology doesn't. For example, let's say that um, the sun is in Capricorn. If you look on the Skyscanner app, and right now it is. Um, if you look in the sky, now if you look through the lens of Vedic astrology, if you look up where they say the sun is, they will also say it's a Capricorn. Now, if you look at Western astrology, they're going to say the sun's in Aquarius. It's not an Aquarius. It's based off wrong time. It is 26 degrees roughly off of the actual placement. And if they continue to keep it the same, which I believe that it will be, that difference will grow and grow and grow over time. It will keep getting further and further away from the actual placements of the constellations and the planets. So, and I feel like I'm not going to get into that in this podcast, but I do fundamentally believe that that was done intentionally, that it's incorrect for a reason. But what it does is that there's enough, it's close enough that you can find some resonance in your tropical chart and your Western chart, but it's off enough that you still won't feel completely resonant. And I believe that's why a lot of people think that like astrology is woo-woo or fake, and that it's like, bad, or that it's made up, is because it doesn't completely resonate with people. And that's because it's based off of wrong time. But I strongly believe that if enough people were to look at their Vedic astrology chart, maybe their Vedic human design, that would resonate a lot more. And then it would seem less like, oh, this is woo-woo, this is made up, and more like, oh, there's actually resonance within me with what is here. And this can actually illuminate things for me, benefit things for me, allow me to thrive and grow in a positive direction. So, so in cosmic human design, I am a splenic manifester. And what's the profile? I forget the profile. Hang on. Looking at my phone right now. Profile is 4-6 opportunist role model. And this makes so much more sense for me. And something I had began to become aware of as my spiritual gifts began to increase and my energetic perception began to increase, is that my interpreting of non-physical energy comes through mostly as a knowing in the moment. Like I just know. And sometimes I'll hear something. That's not often, but sometimes I do. I do get visions a lot. My dreams give me lots of messages, daydreams as well. And then just like, I'll just have a vision. I'll just zone out or zone in or tap in, and I'll, just get a vision while I'm driving somewhere. But for most of the time for me, it's a knowing. And oftentimes I know right away what's right for me, what's wrong for me. And what's gotten in the way of that has been overthinking, overanalyzing, thinking about it too much, getting too much in my head, trying to make it logical, trying to make sense of it, trying to figure it out before it happens so I can control it, all of that. And trying to follow the strategy of like an emotional projector really fucked with me even more. It just really was reflecting back to me um my um my limitations and reflecting back to me this thing that I've been doing for most of my life. And it was like it says you can't trust yourself in the moment. It says you there is no truth in the now. You need to wait until you feel through the whole emotional wave of a decision before you can trust yourself. And that really, like, that's how I sort of felt a lot of my life when I have been in a place of misalignment. It's been, I feel like I know what I want to do, but I don't trust myself. So let me try and find something outside of myself to validate the decision for me, to give me permission to do what I want to do or to be who I want to be. And this was like, yep, that's the way. And no wonder like I felt so depressed because I literally was giving my power away to people outside of me. I was like, oh, I have to wait for other people to invite me. I have to wait for this. I have to wait for things to for people to come to see the value in me and come to me with the opportunity. And it's just really ass backwards for a manifester to be living that way. It really, like, no wonder I was so depressed because it's not who I am. And even human design aside, it's not who I am. For that about year and a half that I was deconditioning from human design and astrology and just focusing on the law of attraction, I was essentially operating like a splenic manifester before I even knew what my cosmic human design was. And then when I discovered that, it validated what I already knew. And so it wasn't like, oh, this is telling me who I am. It's like, oh, I already know who I am. And this lines up with that. So I'm in full swing into a more active experiment with cosmic human design. And it's been going so fast. Like it feels like at times the pace of things are going really fast and other times it feels incredibly slow. And I've been noticing the difference between when it's going fast and when it's going slow. Like when it's going fast, it feels like I'm like on like a light rail. And when it's going slow, it feels like um like a snow globe. And what it's really been is like like I said, my mind is always processing things. But I've begun to be able to feel the difference between when my mind is but the difference between when I'm like receiving a transmission, receiving energy from source, from my inner being versus when my mind is um referencing data from the past. And so what it's looked like for me, it's been like, I'm going to try to go like, it's going to sound like real stream of consciousness right now, but it might be like, oh, um, I need to text my mom. Okay, let me write up a text. Maybe I don't feel like I want to send it right now. Maybe it feels like that's not the right time, but I'll schedule it to send when I want it to send. And it'll be like, what next? Oh, I just thought about something related to human design. Let me go get my human design book and I'll go read that right now. Or you'd be like, oh, I'll get a thought about hypnosis or something. And I'll look up a hypnosis video and then I'll listen to that while I'm reading human design book. Or then I'll think about ramen, the ramen I had the other day. Oh, ramen's so good. I want some ramen, but I'm not hungry right now. But ramen's really good. So I'll look up like a ramen recipe and I'll begin to prepare for the eventual making of ramen. And then I'll think about jewelry class. and I'll think about the design I'm working on, and then I'll get an idea for another design, and then I'll draw that out. And so it's like, it's really like, as soon as I get the idea, an idea that feels good, I act on it. And if it doesn't feel like the right time to act on it, then I will at least write it down somewhere, and also like a reminder associated with it. I'll keep it until it feels like the right time to actually take an action towards it. Because it might be something like, oh, the idea of having a a jewelry store is a really exciting idea, and that's something I've been thinking about for a long time. And I've envisioned it and, looked at it different ways, and I may get another idea associated with that. Well, I'm not going to go out right now and rent a jewelry store. So, or like, it's something that's still very much in the works, but it is an idea. And so I'll write that down, and that adds to that collection. It adds to that vision. It adds to that reality, bringing me closer to it. And so when it feels like it's something that I can't actually, that's not ready for 3D action, I will take the, let's call it 5D action of giving it my attention and energy, my focus, so that it gets closer to coming to 3D. So it's very much look like less thinking about my ideas and more just like doing them. And it's really different from the way that I've sort of lived most of my life. I very much have been like a person that's been like a planner, to try to plan out things and organize things and try to plan out the path. And that's all good and well to a certain extent, but like I did it to the point of like rigidity and stagnation. And that all came from a place of fear, like fear that I was going to fail, um, fear of what if it succeeded, creating plans that were so impossible that there's no way I could do them. And then, oh, that didn't work. Um, and so this is very much, it's been taking away, sidestepping, shortcutting past this planning and just going straight into the being and understanding that if I always do what feels in alignment for me, if I always follow my positive impulses, if I listen to my intuition, always go in this direction, it will all come together as planned. Because it's not linear. Life isn't linear. Nothing is. And I've tried the linear approach and it doesn't really work. So now I'm doing it this way. And so far, things are going good. Things are going well. And so I'm going to continue this experiment more intentionally with this, informing instead of waiting for things to come to me, going out and initiating these conversations, initiating these projects, talking about the things that I want to do that I'm excited about, and then seeing who responds, who's interested in creating something with me. It's like, it's honestly what I've known that I've should have been doing for probably the past couple of years, but have felt terrified to do, which is like see myself as the leader, as the one with the vision, and I'm having a team of people around me there to execute it. That's been something I've been like seeing myself in this role, but like it on some level, legit, it still sort of scares me because it's like that's so different and new for me. I've never really been in a um role like that. And but it also just feels so right. Like I'm not meant to spend my whole life just bringing other people's visions into reality and being a workhorse and being a taskmaster or any of that, or a manager or an administrator. Like that's not for me. I've got a lot of big ideas. I've got a lot of really impactful ideas that could help a lot of people and that can really serve a lot of people. And it's now time for me to begin. It's now time for me to embody this knowing within myself. And so right now, that's what I'm doing. And um, following my strategy and authority is a baby step in that direction. I also am really excited. I am going to get a hypnosis session this upcoming weekend. Never done that before. Been super interested in not only receiving hypnosis, but also administering it. And so I'm looking forward um, to that experience and seeing what that's like to experience that. So yeah. um, oh my God, I'm looking at my journal, my note. Oh yeah. Okay. So overthinking, I mentioned that a few times, and as it relates to overthinking, I started to feel like if I was wrong about human design and astrology, about trying to follow that, and it fucked me up, right? If I was wrong about that, then what else am I not seeing? And so I noticed that I started to get really hypercritical, really discerning, and started to even um and started to be afraid of being conditioned, afraid of like outside influences um conditioning me and then leading me to my downfall. And so that that fear meant that I stopped socializing as much. I started hiding and I started wearing a mask. And I started to wear a mask of like the normal person. I was like, if no one knows how different I am, then no one can try to condition me to be normal. And then I can just be me. But I was starting to feel like I could only really be me by myself and around like a very few select people. And even those few select people, I started to feel like I couldn't really be me around because I felt like they were trying to condition me. And so it was like this weird, like fucked up cycle of like, oh, I don't want people to try to impose their conditioning on me. I don't want the world to impose their conditioning because I'm going to hide me so that they can't see me and condition me. But by hiding me, I'm conditioning myself to be a quote unquote normal person, whatever that means. And so I was just conditioning myself. It was like now looking back on what I was doing, it like was just it was so inane. Like it didn't make any sense at all. But in when you make decisions from a place of fear, they never make sense. Like it's fear. It's not logical. Um and so I remembered, began to remember how I felt when I first discovered the law of attraction. And it was like, I am the conditioner. I am the creator. I decide what is based on what I focus on. And that's something I can 100% control. And when I look at myself as a conditioner, as the manifester, as it's better when I decide what I want and who I am versus waiting for someone to tell me who I am and what I should do works so much better for me. And regardless of what type you are in human design, this applies to you. Don't wait for people to tell you that you're worthy, that you're valuable, that you are skilled, that you are worth it, that you deserve XYZ. Um, that's something that you have to really know within yourself. Or else you're gonna keep finding ways to try to validate yourself through other people. You're gonna keep trying to find ways to prove yourself when you don't have to prove yourself. And well, unless you have a defined heart in human design, then maybe you do. Maybe it is good for you to, put effort towards proving yourself. But majority of people do not have a defined heart, and so you do not need to prove yourself. It just takes off all the pressure off of you. You realize like you're already good enough. You're already good enough. You're awesome. You're dope. You don't need to do shit. Like, you're already good enough as you are. You don't need to be better. We naturally improve, right? It's not something you need to always put a ton of effort into. But as long as you're not actively um limiting yourself, actively harming yourself or others, actively doing things that are negative, then you're going to move in the positive direction naturally. It is natural to be successful. Success is natural. Well being is natural. Abundance is natural. We will naturally move towards these things if we don't get in the way of it. And that is the gift of the law of attraction. That's the gift of my studies of that, is having and embodying this understanding and reliving. Basically, I'm reliving my life through the lens of law of attraction now. Every single thing that I went through throughout my life, all these struggles, all these limitations, all these blocks, I'm now reliving through these scenarios with the law of attraction now. And now I am able to consciously see what I was doing, see what the pattern is. And now I feel and I know what the direction is to go in. And I can redo it, and I can do it now in a way that feels, that is true to me and is not based in fear. And no, I'm not seeking this out. I'm not seeking out to repeat these patterns or repeat stuff in my life. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that what I'm experiencing is these patterns are already there. And these patterns are always coming up. And now I'm aware enough that I can see these patterns. And now I can make a new decision based in truth and love, based in a higher vibration of love, and not based in the fear vibration, thereby diffusing the patterns and creating a new precedent. So creating new momentum. And yeah, that's just, that's just what it is. It's what's happening. um, it feels really good to talk about this. It feels really good to get this out and to share this with you, because I've been wanting to share this with you. And I've got a backlog of videos. I'm working on it. I really need a video editor. That's what I really need. I need a video editor, social media um extraordinaire to like deal with the um creation and dissemination of my content. So that's coming. Um okay. The last thing I want to chat about um is I've been experiencing some like body changes, positive ones. And so like during, I probably say last year, I gained a lot of weight. And it started before that, but it really increased a lot last year. And um that got me sort of really down, because like last year was really challenging for me from like a security foundational standpoint. I had just come off of being nomadic and was getting back into doing more active work. And then I had a lease and I had all these financial obligations, and it was just all coming to it. So it's a very stressful year. And as a result, I ended up gaining a lot of weight. And I like fall of last year, I began to envision more clearly how to shift my life so that it was less stressful, so that I'd be making more money, and so that I would have a more stable foundation under myself. And that process was like I said, I started in fall last year, and I'd probably say I'm about 60, 70% there now. So that's what it's like February now. So, but just in this, what, how many months is that? I don't say. So that's like 7 months. So it's 7 months. I've made about 10% progress a month if we break it down. um, but just in what I've been able to do in the 7 months towards actively shifting my life. And that's me taking action. That's me like not waiting for someone to offer me a promotion, but actually going out, taking the initiative and asking for it. More, I honestly, it was more like demanding it. And really, it was very much sort of like an ultimatum. It was like, this is what I want. I didn't say it was an ultimatum, but for me, I knew it was. I knew it was. It's like this needs to align in this way, and if it doesn't, like, I can't keep doing it in this form. And so, and it was like that with quite a few things that I was doing for work at that time. It was like, this just really isn't in alignment for me. And it's hurting me more than it's helping me. And I have a feeling that if I let it go, or if I am able to transform it, then um, I will feel much better and my life will improve. And indeed, it has been. And what this, the most significant, the more I guess the sort of shifts I've been trying to make with my work happened, came to a conclusion about 3 weeks ago. I've been negotiating, trying to get a promotion, pay increase, not really a promotion, pay increase slash work redistribution. I basically just said that like I just re what word would I use for this? I renegotiated my work with them. I'm an employee, but I was just basically like, I don't want to do this stuff anymore. This is stuff I do want to do. And this is how much I want to get paid. And this is what I've done so far to demonstrate that this is what I've been able to bring as far as value to the company, to the work that I'm doing with you guys. And this is where I see it going. And I was successful in that. And that outcome just, it was like I clicked into it's like it's like the click into the new reality completed. It was like, I mean, going through this process of trying to shift to this reality where I'm more stable, where I'm more valued, where I have more freedom of time, freedom of location, where my skills are more valued, where I'm in a position of authority, where I'm in a position where my ideas are valued and my ideas are the main thing and not necessarily my actions. And I'm not the person doing everything, but I'm more saying how things should be done. Honestly, so it's very projectory. There's also projector energy in there, but it's very much like still very much taps into my ability to see the future of things, to see how things can best be done. Right now for another company, for another person. But when that happened, it felt it felt like I was a new person. It felt like I was in a new world. Like almost overnight, my emotional eating stopped. Overnight, like my appetite decreased. Um, I wanted to start work. I started working out. I started doing yoga again. I started talking to my friends and family more. I started socializing more. It was just like, because what happened is that like not only did this increase my stability from like a financial standpoint, it also gave me more time. And it also was, I got an idea. I saw a vision of myself in this place. I took an action towards it and it succeeded. And it was like, I did that. It was like, oh my God. I initiated. I followed, I was patient. I followed through. And I got what I wanted. And it's like, for a manifester, this is gold. This is what we all want. This is what anyone wants. It's for the results of their actions to be successful and for them to be happy in their life, to positively change because of that. And so, like, I'm very much in a totally different space than I was a month ago. I I'm just like, I wake up in the morning and I feel so grateful and I'm so happy. And I am so just like, I can't believe that this is my life. And I'm only 60, 70% there. And like, where is even there, right? It's just going to keep getting better and better from here. And, what's funny is that I saw a vision of myself probably like a couple months ago. And I was shown myself in like this box. And this box was conditioning. It was like this, it was like this conditioning, this things I thought to be true, right? I lived in this box of things I thought to be true. And no matter how hard I tried to adhere to the rules of this box, I kept failing. And what I was shown was that the rules I believed to be true weren't true. I believed them, but they weren't actually true. At least not true for me, for my highest truth, for my inner being. It was not true. And so it doesn't matter how much I tried, how much I followed the rules. It was still false. That's why it wouldn't work. And that's the way I feel about like Western astrology and standard human design, is that they're fundamentally false. And so no matter how hard I try to adhere or embody a 2-4 emotional projector or a Aquarius sun, moon, Scorpio rising, it didn't work and it won't work. And so, I felt very much like I was trying to convince myself that it did resonate when it totally fucking didn't. It totally didn't resonate. But I tried to convince myself that it did because I wanted it to. I wanted it to so bad. And I noticed that with people that are into human design and astrology, the Western framework, is it's almost very religious and almost dogmatic in a way, how strict and how strongly they believe in it. And like, even like with human design, which I thought was wild, I started taking like the entry level human design course. I didn't even end up completing it. And I never do shit like that. It was expensive and I didn't end up completing it. It just like wasn't resonating anymore after a while. But what happened is that I noticed that with standard human design, the like Jovian archive, the whole sort of organization business that disseminates um, that information is strongly opposed to and almost sort of like shuns people that deviate from the way that they teach it. Like, if you do cosmic human design, like, you're illegitimate. If you are interested in, I think what Carrie Curry Parker, she's got her own little variation, that's illegitimate. If if you start learning about human design on your own and start doing readings and stuff, but you haven't taken their courses, you're illegitimate. And there's very much a song about this is the only right way to do it. Everything else is wrong. And it's like, where is that sort of coming from? Where is this like, it feels like very much a fear of change, a fear of um evolution of it. Um and it feels like a defense mechanism. Very much feels like a defense mechanism to try to protect what they feel like is the original materials and not, and like gatekeeping. Like, you can't even learn, like when I was trying to learn about it and I was taking a course, there's very little about it that you could just look up online. Most of it, like 80% of it, was behind courses that cost thousands of dollars. And in addition, they don't even tell you how they calculate the charts. Like if you really wanted to calculate like an astrology chart, you could learn how to do that. Yeah, it's complicated, but like there's books and you can learn how to do that. But as far as how to calculate a human design chart, like there is no way to do that. You had to use their software to do it. Like that wasn't available information. But now there's a lot more information out there that's free. People are sharing it more. Um, Stuff that was once you had to pay thousands of dollars to be able to know, now you can know. Um, and now there's other calculators out there, and I do feel that very soon, it will be widely known how to actually generate these charts. Another cool thing, by the way, check out cosmichumandesign.com. The guy who created it, I forget his name. He is a very, very genuine guy. He has done an amazing job um, with this. He has created a true sidereal human design calculator, as well as a true sidereal gene keys calculator. Gene keys are also based off of Western astrology. Also incorrect. So you're welcome. Go down your rabbit holes. But yeah, back to the sort of gatekeeping thing, the fear mechanism. Yeah, it definitely feels like there's a reason why they, you know, wanted to prevent people from branching out and exploring on their own. I don't know. I know that it's from fear, and I'm wondering if maybe it was like a money thing. Maybe they really wanted to be a business, and it's like we want everyone who wants to be a human design analyst to come through us, and this is the way we're doing it. This is the way we're going about that. I really don't feel like that works, because whenever you try to prevent people from accessing something, people want it more. So it's just they're just, if they were aware of the law of attraction, they would know that. There is no law of exclusion. If you tell people no, they're going to be like, F you, I'm doing it anyway. Just, makes that more stronger. But oh yeah, what did I get? I was talking about like body stuff. So yeah, so I feel like, it's really interesting. I feel like I have a body on top of my body. Like I feel like I can feel my body, and then I have this stuff on top of me. Like I have sort of like almost like a blanket on top of me in a way, or like these layers on top of me that are sort of weighing me down. And like the longer that I've been going since like that shift in my work and in my finances, like the less I feel like those layers are there. And the more I've been inspired to new ways of living, new ways of eating, new ways of being that are allowing me to feel lighter and lighter and feel like those layers are less and less. And another thing that's been a part of this has been like a calmness, like just a serenity. Like I'm way less emotional than I was before. And, looking at my human design, um, I am a splenic, right? Splenic authority, that's intuition. And before I thought I was solar plexus, emotional. And my solar plexus is completely open. And so when you have a completely open center, that means that you are more susceptible to being conditioned by those around you. And specifically for the solar plexus, an open solar plexus tends to amplify the emotions of others. And so thinking that I was an emotional projector, I had to focus on my emotions, I had to wait until my emotions settled. Like what would happen was this: when I was by myself, I wouldn't feel emotions like that. It wouldn't be the same as when I was around other people. And I began to think that the emotions I was feeling were actually mine when they were not. And like another level of fuckery, right? Like I began to think that, oh, this is me, and it wasn't me. And now that I like see that, and I'm like, yeah, like thinking about what was really helpful is to think about how you were when you were like a child. middle school age, like thinking about how sort of your personality worked or how your emotions worked or what things sort of how you tended to live your life. And I was not an emotional kid. I was a very happy kid. I was a very excited kid. I was very like active, passionate. I was very interested and curious and stuff. I wasn't shy at all. I had no shy bone in me. I would go talk to anyone. I would say what I want. I would say what's on my mind. Like I didn't like authority. I was like always just doing what I want to do, and then I would get in trouble. I was always in detention or getting into fights, and just people for no reason would just like find some reason not to like me or whatever. And I just didn't care. Like, it really illuminated for me this non, this emotionless, not this sort of like, let's say emotionless part of me, this non emotional aspect of me. Um, it was eighth grade and I was on, no, it was high school. Or was it high school? Was it eighth grade? No, it was high school. Yeah, so it was a high school. And I was doing what I always do and say what's on my mind. And this resulted in a girl and her friends wanting to fight me after school. And I was like, okay. And they were all riled up, and I was just sitting there. It's like, okay. And after school, 3 o'clock, right? Go outside. Now I don't like to fight. I don't really like confrontation like that. I would rather avoid it. I just don't want it. It's too much drama. Like it's unnecessary. And I personally felt that they were feeling really sensitive, that they were overreacting. But that's me. Um, and um, she was there, and her friends were there, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna beat you up, blah blah." I was like, "Okay." I set my backpack down, and I was just standing there. And she's like, "You like we gonna beat you up?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm ready. Let's do this." And so I was just standing there. And then she kept talking and they kept like, hooting and hollering. And then eventually they just ended up talking themselves out of fighting. I wasn't going to throw the first hit, but I also wasn't backing down. I was really just like I was just standing very stoic. I wasn't saying much of anything. And they were like, "You should apologize." And I'm like, "I'm not apologizing." I meant what I said. And then it diffused. And I was like, holy shit, that was fun. That was unexpected. That was interesting. And so I'm feeling a lot of that now. Like when things start get really intense feeling emotionally, I'm just like complete unattachment of like, I'm not resisting what's happening, but I'm also not going to take any steps to increase its momentum. It very much feels like surfing. Like you're on the wave, like you're on the board. You're not trying to go against the wave, but you're not trying to propel yourself forward towards the shore either. You're just literally letting the wave carry you. And so as a result, I've been feeling a lot of calm and a lot of just like no emotion, no feeling about anything. And funny thing, I have been feeling sad about that. I think I think I'm mourning the emotionality. And it's silly because if I wanted to feel emotional, I can. I can just tap into someone else's emotion. I do that with like watching shows. It really easy for me to tap into the emotion of other people watching TV shows or watching videos and stuff. And or listening to music allows me to really do that. So like as there's really no need to mourn, but it was just like, oh, like I'm sitting here right now and I don't feel anything. It's not that I don't feel anything. I don't feel any resistance. I don't feel anything holding me down. I don't feel any. pain. I don't feel any anxiety. I'm just here. I'm just here right now. And I'm just here and I don't know what's next. But right now I'm just here. I'm just sitting here and I'm here and this is fine. And I'll close my eyes and like, this is nice. This is nice just to be here and just sitting. And it's new. It's new this to have this calmness in my mind. And it's not new. It's a remembering because I felt this before. It's not entirely new, but if you'd asked the me of 2022, this is new. This would have been a welcome relief to all of the mental anguish I was feeling, all the stress I was feeling last year. And I'm really grateful to not be feeling that or dealing with that. I'm really grateful for all of the improvements I've been feeling in my body. And it's just solidified for me an intention I had last year was to have a healthy, happy, stable, and safe home for myself. And part of that is finances, part of that is relationships, part of that is, um, caring properly for um, the physical temple that is the body and also the temple that is the house. And now that I am have achieved a great milestone in that direction, I feel incredible relief, incredible lightness, incredible freedom, incredible ease. It feels like so much more is possible now that has happened. And it's like I knew that it would feel this way. Um, but I just didn't know what the feeling actually felt like. It's different when you know something intellectually versus when you know something in embodiment. Very different. And I now know this in embodiment on one level. And I'm on to the next now, on to the next level. So this is a little snapshot of what's been up with me. And I really hope that this serves you, that this helps you, that you benefit from this, that you learn from this. I would love to hear what you think. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to engage with you. And for anyone who's interested in my 8-week mastermind, May and June of the summer is going to be lit. We're going to talk about all types of stuff. It's going to be group coaching, so much fun, so much community building, so many connections. And I'm really excited to share more in depth with you what I've been learning, what I've been practicing, and really helping you find what's going to work for you in your life and what's going to help you reach that next level in your personal growth. So you can learn more about that at lawofasha.com. If you can't wait until May and June, you really want to get more content, get more connection, then join my Patreon. You can also do that by going to lawofasha.com. All right, I will see you in the next one, and I hope you have a great day.